My stomach dropped. I already knew what was inside before I opened it. The wedding ring. My wedding ring. The ring she had slipped onto my finger while promising to love me for the rest of our lives. The ring she had kept after the divorce until now. Beneath the box was a folded piece of paper. A note. Just one sentence. Some things were never meant to be buried forever. I read it again, and again, and again. The words felt like they carried 1,000 untold stories. Outside, rain tapped against the windows. Inside, my entire world felt frozen. For years, I had wondered what happened to the woman I once knew better than anyone. The woman who danced with me in the kitchen at midnight. The woman who held my hand when my mother died. The woman who had once been my entire world. And now, she had suddenly reappeared. Not in person. Not through a message. That night, I barely slept. The ring sat on my nightstand. Every time I looked at it, memories surfaced. Our wedding day. The nervous smile on her face. The tears in her eyes as she walked down the aisle. The promises we made. The dreams we shared. Back then, I truly believed nothing could break us apart. I was wrong. The beginning of the end happened slowly. Not through betrayal. It happened through distance, stress, and misunderstandings. The kind that grow quietly until they become walls. I buried myself in work. Ava buried herself in caring for everyone around her. We stopped talking. Not completely. Just enough. Enough for loneliness to move into our marriage. Enough for resentment to grow. Enough for love to become hidden beneath pain. When we finally divorced, neither of us fought. That was the saddest part. We simply signed the papers and walked away like strangers. Like two people who had forgotten how much they once meant to each other. For years afterward, I replayed everything. Every argument. Every mistake. Every moment I should have listened instead of speaking. Every time I should have stayed instead of leaving. I wondered if she did the same. Now, holding that note, I realized she probably did. 3 days later, another envelope arrived. This time, there was no package. Just a letter. My pulse quickened as I opened it. The letter was several pages long, and every word changed me. Ava wrote about the years after our divorce. She wrote about the loneliness, the regret, the nights she spent wondering whether leaving had been the biggest mistake of her life. She admitted that she had carried my ring with her everywhere she moved. She couldn't bring herself to throw it away. She couldn't bring herself to return it either. Not until now. Near the end of the letter, one paragraph made me stop breathing. If I could relive one day in my life, it wouldn't be our wedding day. It wouldn't be our honeymoon. It would be an ordinary Tuesday when we sat on the couch eating takeout and laughing at absolutely nothing. Because I didn't know those moments would become the ones I'd miss most. I read that paragraph 10 times, then 20, because I understood exactly what she meant. The grand moments were never what I missed. I missed the ordinary moments. The everyday moments. The life we built together. At the very bottom of the letter was an address. No explanation. No invitation. Just an address. For 3 days, I debated whether to go. My friends thought it was a bad idea. My brother told me to leave the past alone. Maybe they were right. But something deep inside me refused to ignore it. So, on Saturday morning, I drove there. The address led to a small lakeside town nearly 2 hours away. When I arrived, my heart pounded so hard I thought I might turn around. The address belonged to a bookstore. A small, quiet bookstore overlooking the water. I stepped inside. The scent of old books filled the air. And then I saw her. For a moment, neither of us moved. Neither of us spoke. 6 years disappeared in an instant. Time seemed to fold in on itself. She looked older. So did I. There were new lines on her face. New experiences behind her eyes. But somehow, she was still the woman I remembered. The woman I never truly stopped loving. Her eyes filled with tears. Mine did too. And for several seconds, neither of us trusted ourselves to speak. Finally, she whispered my name. Harrison. Hearing her say it again nearly broke me. I smiled through tears. Hi, Ava. That single word carried 6 years of emotion. 6 years of unanswered questions. 6 years of unfinished feelings. We sat by the lake for hours, talking. Really talking. For the first time in years. No arguments. No blame. No defenses. Just honesty. She told me things she had never said during our marriage. I told her things I had kept hidden, too. The truth was painful. Neither of us had stopped caring. We had simply stopped communicating. And by the time we realized it, The damage felt impossible to repair. As the sun began to set, Ava reached into her purse. My heart skipped. She pulled out another note. Smaller this time. She handed it to me. I opened it carefully. Inside were words written in the same familiar handwriting. I returned the ring because I wanted you to choose what happens next. If the story is over, keep it as a memory. If it isn't, meet me here again next Saturday. I looked up. Tears streamed down her face. I couldn't speak. For years, I had dreamed of seeing her again. But I never imagined this. I never imagined being given a second chance. The following Saturday, I returned. And the one after that. We took things slowly. We talked. We healed. We learned who we had become. Some wounds needed time. Some conversations were difficult. But for the first time in years, we were moving toward each other instead of away. Months passed. One evening, we stood beside the same lake where we had spent so many afternoons rebuilding what we lost. The sky glowed orange and gold. Ava looked at me and smiled. The same smile that had captured my heart years earlier. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring. The very ring she had returned. The ring that had traveled through years of heartbreak and regret. I held it in my hand. Neither of us said a word. We didn't need to. Because sometimes, the most important conversations happen in silence. I gently took her hand. Tears filled her eyes. My voice shook. Maybe we can't change the past. She nodded. I continued. But maybe we can write a better ending. Ava broke into tears. So did I? And as the sun disappeared beyond the lake, she whispered the words I had waited years to hear. The ring she once returned became the symbol of something neither of us expected. Not the end of a marriage, but the beginning of a new chapter. A stronger chapter. A wiser chapter. A chapter built not on perfection, but on understanding. Because sometimes, love doesn't disappear. And sometimes, years later, it finds its way back home. All because of a wedding ring. And a note attached to it.